Yo, what's up? This is Nanu the Fool with Too Deep Podcast. Tonight I want to talk about something subtle. Not flashing lights, not government disclosures, not even whether UFOs are real or not. I want to talk about symbols because symbols are different. They're intentional, they're remembered, and they show up in places where you wouldn't expect coincidence to do the heavy lifting. This episode focuses on two men, two Wyoming cases, same decade, same region, different encounters. And yet, both men describe a star symbol worn on the beings they encountered, not painted on the wall all tagged up, not floating in the air, worn on a belt like an insignia. So the question isn't, do you believe this? The question is, why does this detail repeat? Let's ground this first. Wyoming in the 1970s wasn't a hot spot for New Age movements. It wasn't a media center. It was ranchers, hunters, oil workers, and long stretches of silence. That's important because both of these men came from that world. No UFO circuits, no book deals at first, no social media reinforcement loops, just men who said something happened to me and I don't know what to do with it. Let's start with Carl Higdon, October 25th, 1974, Medicine Bow National Forest. Higdon is elk hunting. He fires his rifle, and this is where the story takes a hard left turn. The bullet doesn't fly normally. He describes it as slowing, floating, and then dropping. Moments later, a humanoid figure appears. Not glowing, not monstrous, not animal-like. Humanoid, wearing what looks like a uniform. The being speaks to him, gives a name, Pt.1. Higdon is taken aboard a craft, often described as a transparent cube, where he sees elk frozen in space, stored like samples. He loses time, roughly 2 hours. Eventually, he's found disoriented. His truck is in a place he shouldn't even be able to reach. Now, you can debate every part of that story, but here's the detail we're focusing on. Higdon consistently described a wide belt worn by the entity. Centered on that belt, a six-pointed star, yellow or gold in color. Not a badge he glanced at once, not a fleeting impression. It's one of the clearest visual details he recalled, a symbol placed deliberately on clothing. And here's the thing. In human culture, belts and insignia communicate role, authority, and affiliation. Military, police, clergy, ancient priests. You don't wear a symbol there by accident. Now let's move to Pat McGuire. McGuire's experience is different. Not a single encounter, but repeated contact over years on his ranch in Bosler, Wyoming. He refers to beings as star people. He describes UFOs landing on his property, telepathic communication, guidance about land and water, guidance that reportedly led him to drill a well where others said there was no water. And guess what? He hit a massive aquifer. Again, you don't have to accept the explanation to acknowledge the claim. But what matters for this episode is this. McGuire also described the beings as human-like, wearing dark clothing, and according to later reporting, wearing a star-shaped symbol on a belt buckle. Silver, metallic, and central. Let's pause here. Two men, two different encounters, two different personalities, two different types of contact. Same decade, same state, same rural culture. And both recall a star symbol worn on the belt of the beings. That's not anatomy. And that's not all aliens look the same. And that's not a trope from sci-fi movies at the time. That's iconography. Here's why this matters. When people fabricate stories, symbols tend to be sloppy, vague, and borrowed. But when symbols recur, especially in placement, researchers pay attention. Jacques Vallée, who studied UFO encounters for decades, argued that the phenomenon behaves less like visitors from another planet and more like a long-term intelligence interacting with humanity through symbols. Different eras, different masks, same underlying structure. Fairies in medieval Europe, angels in religious texts, aliens in modern age. But the symbol language persists. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable for some people. In the Bible, angels are reportedly associated with stars. In the book of Job, the morning stars sing together. In the book of Revelation, fallen angels are described as fallen stars. And in Genesis 6, beings cross boundaries they weren't meant to cross. They jumped the fence. Whether you interpret these passages literally, symbolically, or mythologically, the language is consistent. Stars represent heavenly origin, rank, authority, watchers. So when modern encounters involve beings identifying as star people or wearing star insignia, at minimum, you have to ask, why that symbol? Let me be clear. This episode is not saying aliens are angels or angels are aliens, or that these men were definitely taken by anything non human. What this is saying is that the patterns deserve examination. And when the same symbolic detail appears across independent cases, especially when it wasn't culturally primed, it raises questions. Here's the question I want to leave you with. If these beings didn't want to be seen, why wear uniforms? If the encounters were random hallucinations, why consistent symbols? And if this is all just psychology, why does the iconology echo ancient texts so precisely? As Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah. Maybe this warning isn't a spectacle. Maybe it's in the details we keep ignoring. If this episode made you uncomfortable, good. Curiosity lives here. If you enjoyed this breakdown, share it with someone who doesn't agree with you. Patterns don't need belief. They just need attention. I'll see you next time. This is Nanu with 2D Podcasts.